Alea, welcome back to my channel. Today is the start of a new reading vlog where we are going to be reading for 24 hours. So the plan for this vlog is to do a 24-hour reading vlog. However, I am a grown-ass lady and on the inside I'm 80. And so I can't be doing the like staying up late for 24 hours, pulling an all-nighter. No, I'm a grandma. We're not doing that. So we're going to be reading for 24 hours with a timer. So we're going to be doing it over the span of like a week, and so I'm going to set the 24-hour timer. We're going to be reading and we're going to count down from there, and that way I can still like sleep and go to work and be a whole ass human. And so without any further ado, let's get into the vlog. Hello. So it's been a while since I talked to you, since I filmed the intro to this vlog, and I just wanted to let you guys know, in case I seem a little bit like off or like out of sorts, we did have a death in the family this week, so it's been a rough week. We've been like really going through it, and so if I seem a little bit off, that's what's up, just so you know. It's something that we knew was coming. This person had been sick for the last year, but it really like hit the fan this week, and so my family and I have been talking a lot, and we're doing okay. I'm doing okay, but it's still been rough. So I still want to continue with this 24-hour vlog because the reading's been going really well, and reading is really comforting for me, so I think the best thing I can do right now is read, actually. So this is kind of working out in a way. But with that said, I am kind of switching up my TBR for this video because I've been reading a lot of horror books lately, and I think that I really need something lighter for my emotional state at the moment. And also, I just remembered that the Beauman readathon starts this week. That's hosted by Alea and Kirsty on booktube. I'll leave the announcement video link down below if you want to check that out. But it's a really cool readathon that's happening for the whole month of November, and I've really been wanting to participate. They have a really cute bingo board and like some reading prompts that go along with the board and everything. So I've kind of curated a new TBR to go along with that, and to also include some like lighter reading for this vlog, along with the 2 horror books that I want to finish up. So let's get into talking about the TBR and the prompts. So here's the bingo board, and I'm thinking about trying to complete the 4th row across for this vlog. So let me pull that up so I can like talk through the prompts with you guys a little bit. So the ones I'm going to try to do are water, fertilizer, green carnation, tulip, and ladybug. So the prompt for the water space is to read a book by an author that you're thirsty for more of. So I was thinking for that I could read Into the Riverlands by Nghi, because this is one that I pre-ordered. I'm really excited. It's the 3rd book in the Singing Hills Cycle novella series that she's got going on. And so this is an author that I really like, that I'm excited to read from. I read like a novel each year as they've been coming out, so I really want to get to this. And then for the fertilizer space, the prompt is to read a soul-nourishing book. So I thought this would be really perfect for this week. So for that, I've picked Premeditated Myrtle, and I started reading this last night, and I'm really enjoying it so far. This is a middle grade murder mystery, and it's the first one in this series. And I think books 1 through 4 are already out, so I think that's really good for me because I've been looking for a new middle grade series after finishing Lockwood & Co, and I just haven't found one that like has a similar vibe. But this is kind of giving Lockwood & Co meets Series of Unfortunate Events, and I'm really loving it. So we're following this 12-year-old girl girl named Myrtle, and she is like super into criminology and murder, and her dad is a lawyer, and her mom has passed away, and so she basically lives with her dad and her governess, and her governess is also really cool, and they kind of like go around solving crimes together. So at the beginning of the book, Myrtle has just gotten a new telescope, and it's supposed to be for like studying and stuff, but she's using it to spy on the neighbors. And so she's spying on the neighbors one day, and she realizes that like something is off. So she goes over to the neighbor's house, and one thing leads to another, and she believes that her neighbor Miss Wodehouse has been murdered. And nobody believes her. Everybody's like, Miss Wodehouse was an old lady, like she just died of a heart attack, and Myrtle's like, no, like something's off, something is sus. I went over to her house, things are not right, somebody pulled up all the lilies in her garden and they're gone, and the cat is missing, and things have gone awry, something is wrong. And so Myrtle is trying to convince her dad and the other inspectors that this is a murder and they need to look into it, and she's kind of like talking to people that she thinks are suspects and trying to like find clues and stuff, and it's really good. And I like Myrtle because she's really funny, and she's definitely like a weird little girl who's into dead people stuff, which is such a vibe, and I love her. And her governess is also really funny, and it's witty, it's fun. Myrtle is really smart, and she gets into a lot of trouble and hijinks and stuff, but she's also like really funny along the way. So this is really good. This has definitely been like soul nourishing for me the last couple days, and I'm hoping to read some more of this one tonight. And then the next prompt is the Green Carnation Space, which is to read a book with LGBTQ plus representation. So for this, I'm thinking about getting to Doughnuts and Doom, which is a graphic novel that I just bought this week at the store. It's a sapphic story about a witch and a lady who's in a rock band, and it's supposed to be like a hate to love kind of situation, and it has this really cool like blue and pink art style going on. And then the witch girl also has this little snake familiar who really likes to eat donuts and he's so cute. So I thought this would be a fun read. I have seen some mixed reviews for it on Goodreads, but I definitely want to give it a shot because I think it's so cute. And it's definitely got some like fun sapphic witchy vibes, which I think is really cool. So I'm going to try to get to that. And then the next space is the Tulip Space. This is a book with romantic love. So I have a couple for this, and I'm not really sure which one I'm going to be in the mood for, so we will see. But I have The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy, which everybody's been screaming about. And then I also have The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, which I'm thinking about getting to. So I think both of those have romantic love, and so I think those would be like some fun options. And then the last one is the Ladybug Space, and that's a book with a simple cover that's deeper inside. So for that one, I'm thinking about finishing up the Hacienda. And so all I really know about this is that it's a horror novel set in Mexico, and it has a hot priest and monsters, and I'm right at the beginning. I've only read like 2 chapters. So this is one that has like a pretty simple cover that I think will definitely be deeper inside the more that I get into it. So those are all the books that I want to read for the prompts, and I also have a couple other ones that I'd like to get to as well. So I have Pilo of the Woods, which is a really cute middle grade graphic novel that has a really cool art style and is very autumnal. And then I also have Slewfoot that I'm trying to finish up for my last vlog, and then Sign Here by Claudia Lux. So those are all the books that I'm going to be reading in this vlog, or mood reading my way through. And so tonight I'm going to be reading some more of Premeditated Myrtle, and just so you know, we are at 20 hours and 26 minutes left in the 24-hour vlog, so we still have plenty of time to get through all these books. So I'm going to go read, and I will update you in a bit. Hello. So update, last night Peyton and I were playing some video games and we played Lego Harry Potter and we put up our new little Christmas tree. We just bought a Christmas tree this year because normally we just go to our parents' houses for the holidays, but this year we're actually going to be around more, so I was like, I really want a Christmas tree. So we went to Michael's the other day and we got a little 4-foot tall tree, and it's so cute and it has little rainbow lights in it and stuff. But we don't have any decorations for it yet, so it's just like vibing in the corner. But it still looks really cute. So we got that going, and then I also finished Premeditated Myrtle last night, and so I think I'm going to give this one 4.5 stars. It was really, really good. I thought it was going to be a 5-star up until the last like 50 pages, and then the big reveal at the end was just a little bit lackluster for me. I felt like I knew who the killer was like halfway through the book, and there wasn't really any other twist on it. Like, it was just him, and I was like, that's it? Like, that's all you got? Because it was so twisty the whole rest of the book until the very end. And there was another like subplot, like mystery going on that kind of got resolved at the end, and that part I liked. But the main murder with the killer and everything, it was like, okay, that was really obvious. And I know this is a kid's book, but I still felt like the author could have done a little bit more with that one at the end. So I'm going to give this one 4.5 stars. But that does mean that we've completed our first space for the bingo board. So I also printed off the little Beauman readathon bingo board, and it's only in black and white because the color printer at the library was not working and I don't have my own printer at home. So we're just doing our best, which is fine, whatever. But the space that we completed is the fertilizer space. So the prompt for that was to read a book that nourishes your soul. And so we got that one. And then the other one that I put a stamp on is the free space. So we're going to try to finish this row during this vlog. So I have another book that I'm currently reading, which is Doughnuts and Doom. And so I think this one can count for 2 of the prompts. So I think it can count for the green carnation space, which is to read a queer book, and then the tulip space, which is to read a book with a romance in it. And so I'm on page 74 of this one, and so I'm over halfway through, and it's good so far. It's probably sitting at like a 3-star. This is a sapphic witchy graphic novel, and a lot of people on Goodreads said that they didn't like it because the first time that the 2 girls meet, they have this really negative interaction, and I totally understand why people don't like it, because one of the girls is working at a donut shop and she's the cashier, and the other girl comes in and totally like goes off the handle at her. And like, as somebody who works in retail at a bookstore, like, I totally understand that that's really off-putting, because you're like, okay, I have to deal with negative customer interactions all day. I don't want to read about that. And I kind of felt like that too, but it did I don't know, it wasn't as bad for me personally. Like, I think that the girls kind of got past it once they get to know each other. But I will say, in this book, there's a lot of people who just yell at other people for no reason. Like, they're just taking out their anger from their bad day on everybody around them. Because these girls have like a negative interaction with each other at the beginning, but there's also multiple instances where both of them will like snap at their coworker or snap at their other friend or whatever. Sorry if you can hear the motorcycle boys outside. They really just be popping off today, whatever. But I don't like that these characters are like taking out their anger on other people and just being really snappy and rude. So that is something that's kind of like bringing it down for me a little bit. But the art style is really beautiful. It's pink and blue and it's really pretty and unique. And I also like the witchy vibes in here. The main girl who's a witch has her own like business where she makes potions and stuff, and I think that's really cool. And her little familiar, his name's Stanley, he's a snake. He's super cute, and so I like him a lot. I think there are some good things in here, but I think there's parts where the dialogue feels a little bit stilted, and I don't like that the characters are really snappy. It's like, girl, did you need a romance or did you need therapy? Like, kind of think it was the therapy, to be honest, but whatever, that's just me personally. So I'm going to try to finish this one tonight, and then I also really want to start Into the Riverlands by Nghi, and I also have the audiobook for this on Scribd, so I think I'm going to listen to that and follow along on the physical book, and this can count for the water space, so I really want to get this one done tonight. It's only like 98 pages, so it shouldn't take me very long. And then I also want to continue reading the Hacienda tonight as well, and so I think I'm going to try to count this one for the ladybug space. So that is kind of the lineup for the other things I want to read today. Your girl really needs to do some reading today because I'm a little behind on where I want to be for my reading vlogs for the end of this month. But that is the plan. And then I'm not sure what else we're doing tonight. We might play some more video games and just kind of hang out. So that is the plan, and I will see you later. Hello, good evening. So, reading update, I've been reading some more of the Hacienda, and I gotta say, this feels like it could be 5 stars. I'm honestly surprised at how good this is. So far, we're following this lady named Beatrice, and at the beginning of the novel, she is just moving into this old house with this man, and she has just married this guy, and she barely even knows him. She's marrying him because her father was killed in like a political scandal, and so now she and her mom are homeless, and they're staying with her really mean aunt, and her aunt treats them like shit, and she basically is like trying to use them as extra servants and stuff. And so our main character, Beatrice, is like, okay, I have to find a way to get out of the situation. And so she meets this really hot guy at a ball, and he's into her, and so she kind of flirts with him, even though she doesn't really feel any chemistry with him, and they end up getting married. And so he is taking her back to his big estate in the country, and it's this really old hacienda that his family's owned for many generations. And so it opens with her coming into this house, and it's really run down and it's creepy, and the servants who work there have been there for a long time, and they're kind of shady, and she can tell her husband's not really telling her everything, but she doesn't want to ask too many questions because she doesn't know him. And he also has a sister who lives there that she didn't even know existed because he just mentioned her once, like in passing. And so now she's at this house, and it's really bizarre. There's like dead rats, and the gardens look like shit, and they're all dead, and the paint is peeling, and it's just really, really creepy. And it's so funny because the author does a great job of describing this creepy hacienda. and the writing is really lyrical, but also it feels like every single sentence we learn a new like little tidbit, and it's a pretty chunky book, so the fact that every single sentence feels interesting is really, really good. And so I'm loving this so far, and I think this is a debut novel, and I haven't heard anything about this author coming out with any more books soon, so I'm kind of like holding on to this for dear life because I feel like this is going to be a new favorite actually. And so anyways, I'm really into this so far. I'm excited to see where it goes. I have seen a lot of people reading this lately, like I know it was a book of the month pick and stuff, but I don't think I've heard any like really specific reviews for it, so I feel like everybody's just been comparing it to Mexican Gothic, and other than that I don't really know anything. But this isn't really giving Mexican Gothic vibes. Like, it's set in Mexico and it has that historical setting, and it's, you know, horror, and there's still a creepy house and stuff, but it doesn't seem quite like Mexican Gothic. Like, I don't think that everybody in this book is bad, because I feel like with that book it's very much like the main character against this whole creepy family, and in this one it feels like the house is this evil entity that everybody is scared of. And I think that's a really interesting take on it. So if you're into like haunted house stories, this might be one that you want to look at, because for me, I'm intrigued because this has the trope of the creepy haunted house, but it also has a lot of generational trauma kind of going on. And so I think both those things together are really like my cup of tea. So I think this is going to be really cool. And also I like that we're following the main character Beatrice, but there's also this secondary point of view from this guy named Andres, and he is a priest, and he just got ordained and like got out of priest school, I guess you could say. And he's coming back to the Hacienda, and his family worked as servants there for like many generations, and the village that is outside of the Hacienda is where he grew up with his grandma and his siblings and stuff. But this book is set like right after the Mexican Civil War, so most of his family has died, and so he's like coming back as a priest, and his grandma had this reputation for being like kind of a bad bitch, and so I think the villagers are kind of looking to him to be like their guide now that she's dead. And he's like, okay, like I'm a priest, like I'm trying to like stay on the straight and narrow and kind of like cover up some dark secret from his past. And I think it's gonna be really cool, and I am excited to see when Andres and Beatrice meet, because I'm assuming that that is gonna happen soon. So anyways, I'm super into this, and I am excited to continue on with this tomorrow. And also, tomorrow, Peyton and I are going out of town, and we're going to visit some family for Thanksgiving. So we're going to go do that, and I'm also going to get a haircut. And I think I'm going to chop off like many inches, because my hair is driving me nuts. It's basically just a big rat ball at this point. So I think I'm going to cut it like up to like collarbone level. So next time you see me, I should have hopefully very different hair. And also, I forgot to mention before, when Peyton and I were shopping for our little Christmas tree, we were also trying to find a green screen for the office, but we couldn't really find anything, so we just got some green fabric from Walmart and like put it on the wall, and we basically made our own green screen at home, and we've been messing around with that, and it's been really, really fun. So cue the green screen footage. So anyways, after that, I'm sure you're stoked to see more weird green screen shit from us. But anyways, I'm gonna go to bed, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Adios. It's the grand boyfriend. It's the grand boyfriend.
Say cheese. see down under the water.
That's so cool. Hello, so it's the next day and I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update. So first of all, I got my hair cut. Who is she? We don't know her. We don't know her. You ever just get a haircut and you're like, I feel like a new woman, but at the same time I feel more like myself than I did with my old hair? You know what I'm saying? But anyways, the hair aside, Peyton and I are now back from our trip, and so while we were there we went on a little hike up to a waterfall on Thanksgiving morning, and then we also went to a family friend's house, and they have this really cool barn out in the sticks, and inside they have a really cool little like bar saloon thing going on, and then they also have an old school apple press where you could like crush apples and make your own apple juice, and so we did that and it was so good. It was super cool. And then I also did some reading and I finished up Doughnuts and Doom. So this was a really fun graphic novel. I think I'm gonna give it like 3 stars. I liked that it was sapphic and I liked the witchy vibes, but I do think that the writing was a little bit meh for me, and a lot of the characters were like pretty quick to anger and kind of took their frustrations out on other people, and I didn't really like that. But I do think that the romance at the end was really cute. But like I said before, I'm not sure if these characters really were in like a healthy enough place to be in a romantic relationship without like being mean to each other. So that one's a 3-star, but it did count for some of the Beauman readathon prompts too. So I'm not sure if you can see this, if it will focus, but it counted for the green carnation space, which was to read a book with queer rep, and then it also counted for the tulip space, which was to read a book with romantic love in it. So that was really cool. And then I also read another book once we got home, and I just read this one all in one sitting, so I haven't really updated you about it at all yet, but that was Into the Riverlands by Nghi. A lot of people were saying that they didn't like this one as well as the previous books in the series, but I totally disagree with that. This one was a slapper. I think this one and the first one are my 2 favorites so far. So this one is about the cleric Qi that we followed in the first 2 books, but Qi is in a new place called the Riverlands, and they have the bird companion with them called Almost Brilliant that they're friends with. And they're kind of trying to find some stories about the martial artists that live in the Riverlands, because they're really famous for being like super badass. And so Qi ends up like going into this place to get some food at the beginning and ends up meeting one of these martial arts people, and then they kind of meet up with some other folks as well, and they end up going on this journey to this town called, oh my gosh, what is it called? Oh, called Bethany Docks. And so it's about the story of the martial artists and the different stories that people tell about them. And it's kind of cool because this is a book that has a lot of stories within the main story, and I love that about it. And I think a lot of people go into this series thinking it's going to be really fast-paced, and it's really not that. It's a story about stories, it's about community, it's about the way that people are like multifaceted, and so there can be multiple stories that end up being about the same person, or some people are left out of the stories, or the people who are like the victors are the ones who tell the stories, and so a lot of times it's not true, it's not accurate. Or it's about the way that, you know, these different things are passed down from generation to generation, like the martial arts stuff, and some people are like outcast from that because they're too hardcore and people don't know what to do with them in civilized society. And so that's kind of what this place Bethany Docks is about. It's about these martial artists, and a lot of them were so badass that their trainers were like, you gotta go, like I don't think that you're going to be doing good in civilized society. And so they all kind of end up in the Riverlands. It's about this place that's really rough, and it has this history of having like wild boars running rampant that used to be just for the emperor to hunt, but the emperor doesn't hunt there anymore, and so then it got taken over by these bandits, and then the bandits were murdering people, so the martial artists had to go and kill those guys, and it's all about just the history of these regions, and it's about Chi getting to meet all these different people and hearing their stories, and the stories of these different regions that are all so diverse, and they have different animals and different cultures and different stories within them, and it's really, really good. And I love this series a lot, and they're really, really short. This one was only like 98 pages, but I listened to the audiobook and followed along in the physical book, and the audiobooks are super great as well. The narrator does a really good job with all the individual characters, so I really like this. I think people are giving this book bad reviews because it's not as action-packed as a lot of other high fantasy novellas, but this is a slapper. Just my personal opinion, a slapper. So I gave this one 5 stars. I loved this. I thought it was great. And I'm really glad that I pre-ordered it. Actually, I think it was totally worth it. And this one also counted for a couple different spaces on the bingo board. So I counted this one for the water prompt, which was to read more books from an author that you're thirsty for, and then also the cacti space, which was to read a short book. So far I have quite a few spaces checked off, and I almost have a bingo. So I almost did this whole row. I did little stamps. I don't know if you can see them. It's hard to tell with this black and white board, but you do what you gotta do. So the last space I need to get a bingo is the ladybug space, and I think I can get that one with the Hacienda, which I still need to finish. I'm still working my way through that. So I'm gonna be reading some more of that tonight, and probably just hanging out with Peyton and doing some filming and some editing. I need to start editing my videos for Vlogmas as well, so look out for those. Those are going to be coming really soon. I'm going to be doing a winter TBR and then another reading vlog pretty soon that's kind of like a secret TBR, so look out for those. And I'm going to go edit and do some other stuff, and I will update you in a bit. Hello people. Don't mind my hair. I love how I started off this vlog wearing makeup and being like, oh, these are the books on my TBR, like this is what I'm going to read this week. And now I'm coming at you with my Cindy Lou Who hair, about to tell you that I'm going to deviate from my TBR and read a bunch of books I've never heard of. We love to see it. We really love to see it. I brought home a couple of ARCs today from the bookstore, because we just got a bunch of ARCs in, and then there were some other books that I've been seeing around that some customers like special ordered, and I thought they were really cool. And then turns out we had some old ARCs sitting around in the basement of the books that I wanted to get, so I picked those up. So the first one that I grabbed is a new one, and this one comes out in March of 2023. And it's the new historical romance from Sophie Jordan, and it's called The Countess, and it's the first one in her new Scandalous Ladies of London historical romance series. And so I just started it while I was at work today, and so far I'm really enjoying it. It's kind of a funky premise. So it's about this woman whose daughter is just like coming out in society, and she's looking for a husband, and the mom is in this marriage to this earl who's really rich, but he's an asshole, and like they don't live together, and he kind of goes and sleeps around and gambles his money away and stuff. And so the mom has basically been like raising the daughter and getting her ready to come out in society. And then I think it's about the mom hooking up with one of her daughter's suitors, and so I think it might be like a historical age gap romance, and it sounds really fun. And then I also picked up This one's called Screaming on the Inside, and it's a new nonfiction that just came out in December, and it's called The Unsustainability of American Motherhood, and it looks really, really awesome. So I picked this up because I read the first couple pages when we got one in for a customer the other day, and it was really good. And the beginning is about the author talking about her experience with her first pregnancy and how she felt like she'd done everything right, like she had a stable job and she was in a healthy marriage and she felt like she was really ready to have a kid, and she was trying really hard to have a baby before she turned 30 because she heard about, you know, it's so hard to get pregnant once you're in your 30s and whatever. And so she gets pregnant and then she's like, oh my god, I'm so sick, and she had to quit her job, and then she's like fretting about her career and feels like, you know, she's only 6 weeks pregnant, she's already like failing at motherhood. And so anyways, it's about her experiences with, you know, living in America and being a mom and all these expectations that society has for you being a parent and things you should be doing with your kid, and, you know, all the hoops you're supposed to jump through by a certain age in order to be like successful and all that kind of stuff. So it sounds really cool and I'm really excited to get to this. And then next up, I picked this one up. This one sounds so wild. It's called Venomous Lumpsucker. Listen, a customer got this one the other day and I was like, that sounds so insane. So this is a new book that just came out last summer, and it's set in 2023, and it's like a dystopian landscape where there's a lot of toxic waste, and it's set in this city that's like floating on top of the ocean, and it's about these two people who are scientists, and they basically are trying to save all these different animal species that are going extinct. And in this world, they have these places called like DNA biobanks, where they take DNA samples from all these animals and like keep them in the biobanks so that if the species go extinct, they can like recreate the species in the future. But then some hacker like gets into the biobanks and erases all the DNA from all of them, so all the scientists are like freaking out. And it's about these two main scientists who are trying to find the last lumpsucker fish, because it's supposed to be like the most intelligent fish on the planet. And so they're going on this quest to like find the last lumpsucker. And I think it's about them maybe like having a romance and trying to navigate this dystopian world, and it's about the totalitarian state and society and science and all this different stuff. And it sounds really wild and good, and the back says that it's a witty story about environmental collapse. And I think that sounds really cool. And this cover, this lumpsucker, hello? Like, what is happening? I need to know. So anyways, those are the 3 books that I picked up. And I think I'm going to keep reading this one for this vlog because I've really been enjoying reading the Hacienda, but I'm just not in the mood to read horror right now. And I can kind of feel myself like going into a little bit of a slump because I am reading a genre that I'm not in the mood for. So I'm gonna continue reading this tonight, and so I'm probably gonna read for the next like 4.5 hours, and then we're gonna wrap up the end of this vlog. So that is the plan. Adios. Oh my god, don't mind my gross burps. Bye. So I read some more of the Countess, and so far I'm really enjoying it. I think that this is kind of sitting at like a 4-star for me right now. And so basically at the beginning we're following this lady named True, and she has a daughter named Delia who has just started like coming out in society. And at the beginning there's this kind of like gossip magazine that's coming out, and there's a column in there about her daughter Delia and how she's like the most charming, most beautiful, fresh new girl of the season. And True is like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be great. Delia's gonna have so many prospects, and so she'll be able to like pick a guy that she actually really likes and get to know him before she marries him, so she won't get stuck in a really bad marriage like I am. And so then True's husband, the Earl, he sees the column in the newspaper and he's like, oh, I am gonna milk this and use this to my advantage. And so he goes to see True and basically says, well, guess what? Delia doesn't get to pick her own man because I've already picked a husband for her. And True is like, oh my god, like, you've got to be kidding. And basically, the Earl is an awful guy. He is such a pig. He is just flirting with all the servant girls and like hitting on them, and he's super rapey and creepy, and he just goes and like gambles away all of his money, and the money is not even his. Like, all of the money that he's using to pay for all of these, you know, hoes and food and all this different stuff is actually True's parents' money that he kind of like essentially forced them to give him. And so it's not even his money, and he's just being such an asshole. And honestly, I hope he chokes on a rib and dies at this point. But anyway, so True is like, oh my god, like, I can't really say anything because he's this really powerful man, but like, I hate him, and he's awful, and he doesn't give a shit about our daughter. Like, he's barely seen her at all in the 18 years that she's been alive. And so True is trying to figure out who this guy is that the Earl has chosen for Delia to marry, because his name is Jasper Thorne, and nobody's ever heard of him. He's like not really in society at all, but the Earl wants him to marry Delia because he's really rich. And he's like, I think that this guy will help like pay for my lifestyle, essentially. And so True is going to do a little bit of digging to figure out who this Jasper guy is. And I think it's going to be cool because it's so funny, because Jasper is the guy that True is supposed to fall in love with, but her husband has chosen him to be the daughter's husband. There's a lot of layers to that onion. And also, like, how is True gonna get out of this abusive marriage that she's in to the Earl? Is he gonna have to die so that she could be with somebody else? Or what's gonna happen there? I don't know. But I think it's gonna be really good and juicy. So I read some more of this, and also, just to wrap up the vlog, I read a few other books. Premeditated Myrtle, I gave this one 4.5 stars. And we also read Into the Riverlands, which I gave 5 stars. This one was really, really good. And we read Doughnuts and Doom, which was a fun 3-star graphic novel. And then I also read some of the Hacienda. So on the whole, I think I did pretty good in this little reading challenge. I will say that I did not end up getting a bingo on the bingo board for Beauman readathon because it's officially like the beginning of December now. So I did not quite get that last space to get a bingo. But you know what? That's okay. I still read a lot of other stuff that I really, really liked. And on the whole, I enjoyed everything that I read, which is pretty cool. So if you made it to the end of this vlog, leave me a pig emoji in the comments for the Countess's awful husband. And thank you so much for watching. And if you have not subscribed, I would appreciate if you could consider doing so. Also, don't forget to like and comment down below. I love reading all of you guys' comments. You guys are so sweet. And until next time, I will see you in another video very soon. Bye!